G'day everybody, Max right here from Bitshares.tv, and I'm making this video as a little bit of a catch-up as to the state of Bitshares as of February 2015. Now, for those of you who don't know, I wrote this book, Bitshares 101, and released it to the Amazon Kindle store as of late December in 2014. Now, in the last chapter, I promised everybody about once a quarter I would do an update with a state of the Bitshares video. So that's why I'm doing this video, but it's only been about 50 days, not 90 days since I released the book, and there's so much happening in the Bitshares world, I simply couldn't wait to do any longer. So I thought I'd do this video now and give everybody a little bit of a catch-up. So I thought an important place to start this State of Bitshares video is to start with the price. And there's two main ways I look at the price of Bitshares. One is in relation to Bitcoin. Now, the reason I do that is that Bitcoin is the reserve currency of all cryptocurrencies. And so when Bitcoin goes up in value, all coins get a kind of a free ride and they all go up in value. And likewise, when Bitcoin goes down in value, all coins get a free ride down. Now, we're kind of in the middle of a bear market for Bitcoin at the moment. And so all the altcoins are kind of suffering when you look at them as with respect to the US dollar. So for kind of a more accurate view, I feel, on how Bitshares is going, I look at it in relation to Bitcoin. And we can see here at bitsharesblocks.com, we see way back in August, there was a big spike in Bitshares price, a little bit of a pullback, and then it's been relatively sideways for the price of Bitshares in relation to Bitcoin. Now, for those of you familiar with the world of crypto, this kind of graph should be very, very familiar with you. For those of you who are kind of new, let me go through kind of what takes place in the world of crypto. What happens is at some point there's some release of technology, release of infrastructure, and it causes the price to rise rapidly. Generally, it overshoots a little bit and pulls back. Now, what happens during this time is that with the price going up, there's lots of media attention. Also, the new technology that allowed this run up in price brings in lots of new users. That causes the price to go. Usually there's an overshoot, it pulls back. Now, from all of those new people, some of them are developers, some of them are entrepreneurs, some of them are venture capitalists. And what they do is they start investing their time, energy, and resources if they like this particular chain. So what happens is they start working. Now, nothing really comes to fruition for several weeks, months, and sometimes years. But these entrepreneurs, these coders, they start working and they start advancing the football down the field, I like to say. Every day they're producing new features, new applications, and they're working with the Bitcoin protocol in new and interesting ways, constantly releasing things. Now, this goes on for a while, and kind of just like football, you constantly advance the ball down the field, but it's not until you score a touchdown does the scorecard actually change. And this is very typical for the world of crypto. And that's what this video is kind of about, because if you just look at the scorecard, you might be fooled into thinking that nothing is happening. Whereas if you're watching the game regularly like I am, I'm going to fill you in on all the different ways that the ball is being advanced down the field. And of course, nobody can say for certain, but later in this video, you'll hear my opinion on what the touchdown's going to be, and you'll hear how close we are to it, which should be quite exciting. Now, the other way we can look at the Bitshares price is to, of course, look at it against US dollar. As I said, we've been in a bear market for Bitcoin and that price has been kind of dropping. So what we can see here is, unfortunately, we have a declining price in Bitshares when measured against the US dollar. But as I said earlier, you always get a free ride during a crypto bear market. Hopefully we'll also get the free ride on the way up as well. So what you can see is that the price today is quite similar to what it was about 6 months ago. Now, the entire Bitshares ecosystem has matured considerably, and there's so much good news going on in Bitshares in that last 6 months. So for some, this might be actually a really good time to buy because you're getting all of that last 6 months of development absolutely free. So that's something to consider. Now, before we leave Bitshares blocks, I do just want to mention this because this is a phenomenal website and tool. When I'm educating people one-on-one in front of a computer about Bitshares, I spend most of my time at Bitshares blocks. On the assets page, it's a great way to describe how bit assets work. Right here on the page, you can point out that real-time, cryptographically provable that you have $2.77 collateral for every $1 of this market cap of BitUSD, which is available. I go right down the list of all the different assets, and of course I'm quick to point out the different yield that you can get. So Bitshares blocks is a phenomenal tool that's rapidly advancing. I use it all the time. So now let's go on to some of the other ways in which the ball is being advanced down the field in the world of Bitshares. Now remember, all of this has happened in the last 50 days. So the first thing we want to point out is there's been a number of new additional gateways and bridges into the Bitshares ecosystem. So we had our very first fiat gateway come in. On btc38.com, there is now a direct Chinese yuan into Bitshares marketplace. Now this is the first direct fiat marketplace into Bitshares. So that's kind of cool. And I should point out, I know the Chinese community is making great inroads in China. Unfortunately, because of the language barrier, I don't always keep up to date with it, but they're doing some fantastic things. Similarly, another Chinese exchange over on bter.com, Bitter, you can now go straight from Bitcoin into BTS. You can also go into BitGold, and you can go into BitUSD. So there's two different bit assets and BitShares now on btr.com. Also very interesting, a company called Shapeshift.io. Now this is kind of an exchange, but with the added benefit that you do not have to sign up for any account. All you do is you go to the site, you say, let's say you wanted to go from Bitcoin into BitUSD. It's as simple as that. You'd simply type in your BitUSD account, type there, and then it would give you, hit start. They'll give you a QR code. You send your BTC. Within a few minutes, you get your BitUSD. The spread I've noticed has actually been quite small, so you do actually get a really good price, I've noticed, within a few percentage points. Now, the limits are quite small. Right now, the deposit limit for this particular transaction is 2.5 BTC. But as market depth improves, both the spreads will get smaller and the deposit limits will increase, so that's something to look forward to. MetaExchange.info is another bridge that's just become available. So what this does is this converts Bitcoin into BitBTC and back again. This is just in testing mode, but it is operational, and for small amounts you can actually go from Bitcoin to BitBTC and vice versa. There's also another cool feature that's been released on the forums, and I think they actually have a website built to it. And it's what's called a bit asset exchange. Now, of course, the Bitshares client allows you to transfer in between all of the different bit assets. BitUSD, BitGold, BitBTC, etc. But in order to do that, you need to download the full client, run the full blockchain, etc. What's coming out soon is a light wallet where you'll be able to send and receive different bit assets without downloading the whole blockchain. It'll be a nice, easy desktop application, soon to be phone app. And so this is a really important piece of infrastructure that's going to add a lot of value to that light client to allow you to get in and out of the different bit assets without having the full client. So I think if I counted correctly then, that's 6 new ways in which you can get inside the Bitshares ecosystem. As I said, it's all happened in the last 50 days. So I mean, we're talking about once every 10 days, a new option for getting inside the Bitshares ecosystem comes about. I've been involved in a lot of technology projects before, and I've never seen anything that advances this quickly. It is really, really exciting how quickly the Bitshares ecosystem is advancing, and I know sometimes that's easy to forget. So what else is happening in the Bitshares ecosystem? We now have 29 100% pay delegates. That means there's 29 people out there who've put their hand up and said, hey guys, I would like to work on this project. Does the Bitshares blockchain feel like encouraging me to do so by sponsoring that with a delegate position? And they've said yes. The delegate system is working and has created a flurry of energy, which I think is a huge contributor to all of the action that's happening at Bitshares. We also saw our very first delegate get fired. We saw our first 100% paid delegate getting voted out of the top 101 delegates, which is just another reinforcement that the delegate system is working well. We also had a brand new Bitshares client release the other day. The graphical interface is much easier to use. For new users, it's a lot simpler to understand and interact with the marketing engine, and so that's a really good feature. And something that is so simple, but so very much appreciated, we have a faucet. Remember, it was more than 50 days ago that people who wanted to create an account on Bitshares, they had to come to the forums and ask people and beg them, hey, can you please send me a small donation so I can get involved in this ecosystem? Now there's a faucet right in the client, and it's a lot easier to onboard people. And I will also mention my book, Bitshares 101. I've gone ahead and made that royalty free for anybody who wants to translate it into another language, and then you can go ahead and sell it for your own profit. No need to send anything to me. As a result, just in the last 50 days, this has been translated into 5 different languages. This is really important because when people get interested in Bitshares, to go to the forums and sift through the information is a bit of a challenge. This is one place they can go and just have a thorough understanding of what Bitshares is. So that's now in Norwegian, Russian, Korean, Chinese, and Spanish. And actually someone just mentioned to me on the forums the other day, they're going to get it translated into Greek as well. So there'll be another language. So that's really cool. I also want to mention Crypto Hedge. Now this is a cool project by a couple of Bitshares community members. And what they're doing is they're doing market maker bots on the bit assets. So what users will see who are new to bit assets, they'll see big buy walls and sell walls for all the different bit assets, making it far more liquid and far more attractive to get into bit assets. I also want to mention a project called Crypto Fresh, and that is an online store that exclusively accepts bit shares and bit assets. And the gentlemen who have produced that have been kind enough to go ahead and make that open source, and so now anybody can go ahead, and it's a real pleasure to use that experience in that shop, by the way. It just goes to show how good and friendly cryptocurrency is. There's lots of other projects I could talk about, but I want to keep this video short, so we'll leave it there. But to me, it's amazing just how many projects have come online, and the fact that all of that has happened in the last 50 days. I did not expect the Bitshares ecosystem to move so rapidly. So to me, the ball is moving down the field very, very quickly. At some point in the future, hopefully we'll expect a touchdown. And I promised you earlier, here is my prediction of what I think the touchdown will be. I think in the next week or so, we've got the Bitshares Lite wallet coming out. What that means is the technology exists. Pretty much all of it is done, whereby you can have a Bitshares wallet on your phone, a nice easy app where you do not have to download the whole blockchain, and you can run a nice light client. I want to connect that with a few other pieces. Obviously, there's many Bitcoin wallets out there that already have that functionality. So you've got Bitcoin wallets out there. Soon you're going to have Bitshares wallets out there. And you've got all of these different bridges like Shapeshift and others that allow you to get in and out of Bitcoin and some of the bit assets. So here is my prediction on what the touchdown for Bitshares will be. I think in the very, very near future, what we'll see is actually a Bitcoin wallet. And what it will be able to do right there seamlessly, people will be able to jump from Bitcoin into Bitshares and back again. Now, why is that significant? Here's why I think it's significant. We know Bitcoin is a huge community of people. It has a rabid following of millions of people who really want to see Bitcoin succeed. Now, something that is holding them back, we've seen Bitcoin get great merchant adoption in the first world. And I believe the reason we've done that is because of great companies like BitPay, who have solved the problem of Bitcoin's volatility. Now, they've done that by using the banking system and depositing fiat into people's bank accounts. Now, we also know that Bitcoin has so much more potential in the developing world compared to the US. They don't have credit cards there. There are billions of people who are unbanked, but we haven't seen that rapid adoption in that ecosystem yet. And I think the reason is because companies like BitPay have not been able to work with the unbanked and in some of those areas, because it's just not possible. And so there's no way for Bitcoin enthusiasts in the developing world to hedge themselves away from Bitcoin's volatility. And that is until now. Now that there is a Bitshares Lite wallet, we've got these gateways like Shapeshift and others. What people will be able to do is they'll be able to accept Bitcoin, immediately transfer it into BitUSD, and then when they want to go and buy something in Bitcoin, it will immediately transfer back. And people might not even know they're using BitUSD. They might not even know the name Bitshares. But what they do know is they'll be using a Bitcoin wallet, and it will be performing the decentralized function of what BitPay does in the first world. And I think that is going to be the touchdown for that's going to be the next touchdown for Bitshares. That's going to make it go on one of those big runs that'll bring a lot more eyeballs and a lot more developers and a lot more evangelists out there. Because I think once this tool is delivered, I think you're going to see some of the Bitcoin celebrities like the Barry Silberts and so forth being on Bloomberg. They're going to be talking about Bitcoin solved its volatility problem. And then they might not even mention Bitshares, but it's going to be millions of dollars worth of free press for Bitshares ecosystem. And all we've done is we've followed the first rule of business. If you help enough people get what they want, you can have everything you want. And so by helping the Bitcoin community achieve their dreams of getting Bitcoin out to the third world and really changing lives there, Bitshares is going to get along for a ride. And it's the union of Bitshares and Bitcoin that is the killer app of Bitcoin, I think. I think we'll see that sometime in Q2 of this year. So that is not far away. So guys, that's it for me for this update on the state of Bitshares as of February 2015. To me, it's very exciting. I can't wait for the next few months to see what is happening. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it far and wide, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'll keep you up to date on all of the comings that are happening in Bitshares ecosystem, and I'll see you in the next video.